guys, and welcome back to yet another episode of Director on Director. And today I'm very excited to be able to bring a good friend of mine, someone I like to think that I founded, even though he's older than me and been doing this longer than me. I've got a wrestler, I've got an actor, the hardest working man in the indie world. I have the one and only Jon Devlin. Say hello, Jon.
How's it going?
Oh,
nice to be on Director.
Yeah, like you're one of my few people that actually watch it, so I appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Like a couple of years ago, I'd never even thought I'd be a director. So
I know that's what it's so exciting about, because you've been doing this shit for a long time, but now I can finally get you on the show because you're a real director now, man. You're award winning. Look behind you. There's an award over your shoulder right there.
Got the award right here. Award winning director.
Yeah,
the first one so far.
Yep. So, man, what's it feel like? You're a director now. Like let's kind of go down this list here. You have been a wrestler. I've seen you wrestle. You've acted. You've choreographed. You've done stunts.
Yeah. I was in a death metal band.
Yeah, I was about to say, I thought you did music. So you're in a death metal band. You've modeled.
Yeah.
So
photography.
Yeah, that's right. You do photography too. See, man, the list just keeps going. But now you're a director as well. What's it like, man? What's this path to art been for you?
It's totally weird, and it's something that I've been wanting to do for a while. I just didn't think I could do it or wouldn't have the means to do it. But I was like, well, I'll just settle for acting because I like acting and it's easier as far as, you just show up and do the thing and you get to go home.
Yeah.
But I don't know, there's a creative part of me wants to just make stuff and have that control, and so I finally just during the pandemic is when I actually just picked up the camera and was like, let's do a thing. Yep. And taught myself the editing software. Basically I taught myself how to use the camera. Like basically everything I do, I've self-taught. So yeah, it's been a weird thing, and I keep getting better as I go. And now it's this last short is the biggest of the three. As far as there's a bigger cast, there's more people to deal with and managing locations and stuff like that, which it's still small scale, but compared to the last two, it's a big jump.
Yeah. And I would say that too. Like, you've done the two other movies, the pandemic movies. What were their names, man?
The Miasma and Pestilence and Silence.
That's right. Okay. And those were good. I really enjoyed those. But there is a difference between that and erecting a monster, because one was you sitting around the house kind of bored and you're like, well, I'm here, I can do this, I'll film myself, I'll act. There was no communication in that. It was a one-man show. Now that you've done erecting a monster and you've actually done the cons too, you've had to fucking run the course on what it is to be an indie filmmaker. You've done all of it now. But what was it like getting in there and actually directing people and having to find locations and deal with script changes and deal with people? Oh my God, because I really want to get into that with you, man. Because, acting's great unless you're the director, and then actors suck. But
well, I wouldn't say any of the actors sucked. Some of them were easy, like Johnny. He was on board from the beginning, so I wrote that part for him. Mm-hmm. And he even helped me come up with the idea. So that was an easy part. It was a small cast. It was like 4 actors, including myself. So it was the 2 other parts that were kind of hard to cast, and specifically the female lead, just because of what was asked of the role. And it's a low budget picture. You can't offer a ton of money, and it's just kind of difficult, and people have their hangups. Some people are willing to do one thing but not the other, which is fine and understandable. And I was willing to just work around limitations like that. But fortunately, I was able to get the footage I wanted, so that worked out well. But just negotiating stuff with people, it's I get a lot of rejections.
Yeah.
So, and that's fine, because it's not for everybody to do certain parts. That's totally cool. I understand, but it does get stressful when you're especially trying to meet a deadline, because this was for a festival that had a deadline for submissions, with the criteria that they were asking for, which they ended up tossing away. And I missed that memo. But yeah, just stuff like that kind of gets stressful. It's, you know, it's nobody's fault. It's just, you know, part of the process, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, you went through the ringer with this one because it's I was happy you did because it's something I could finally talk to someone about. Every movie I've done, especially on just the indie level, because you are dealing with such little money that you don't have any say over the directors, or not the
Yeah.
directors, over the actors,
Yeah.
because you know you'll get them in there and everyone's like,
Yeah.
everyone wants to make a movie. I always bring it up
Yeah.
to that story about the little chicken that made bread. It's just like, hey, who wants to plant the grain? Who wants to harvest the grain? Everyone's like, not me, not me, until it comes time to eat the bread and everyone wants it.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. You'll have actors, they're like, yeah, I'm 100% on board. Everyone always hits you up going, hey, when's your next movie, bro? I want to be
Yeah.
in it, bro. I'll do anything. And
Yeah.
then you're like, yeah, the only thing you have to do is show up at this time within a reasonable, 3-hour window. You could be there. And then they just don't show and they don't talk to you. And it's
Yeah.
awful. And yay, we're in the same club now. That's so great, man.
Well, I was lucky, like, as communication wise, like everybody that I scheduled, if there was going to be an issue, they contacted me and let me know, you know, in a decent amount of time to figure stuff out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. What about some of these other things that you've done, man? Like, I do want to get more into erecting a monster because there's stuff behind
Yeah.
you that's just grabbing my attention right now.
Yeah.
But you've been into horror, I'm guessing, most of your life.
Yeah.
What kind of got you into this stuff exactly, especially the artistic side of it, man? Like, where was your birth into this?
Ooh, the artistic stuff. Well, my first taste of horror was actually in church with the Antichrist films, because that was terrifying. I wouldn't say those were artistic though, but
Tribulation Trail for me, man. I was
they
scarred.
were they were intense, and you know, especially watching them as a kid, you know, just scared the shit out of me. But I loved them for whatever weird that adrenaline rush they gave me, the nightmares at night, you know, keeping me up. That was awesome in a weird kind of way.
Mm.
And you know, of course, got into the classic Universal monsters. You know, my dad used to get a projector and show those on the screen. Uh, and then at some point, I got introduced to Faces of Death, and my dad was one that watched that too, which is not typically what he would allow us to watch.
Yeah, I was
But
about to say, from stories I've heard, that's
yeah,
crazy.
but I think when he got it, he was under the impression it was like a documentary, you know, because it has that documentary style to it. And I don't think he knew at the time, and I certainly didn't. A lot of stuff was staged, and it was, you know, it was kind of like a snuff porn in a way.
Yeah.
But I think when I started working for Blockbuster Video, or maybe a little bit before that, you know, I started finding different things on the shelf that I would experiment with. Not just art house horror, but you know, like shit like Gummo, you know, like David Lynch films, got into Kubrick, just lots of stuff like that. Kind of, I don't know, I just had an appreciation for it, and I like a little treasure with my trash. You know, I love trash films, but I love like the highbrow art stuff too. So I think they all have something to contribute into my brain and how I put out my creativity.
I think that's a good segue, man, because we can see behind you, and I know you personally. The movies you watch are wild. Like you go from like, man, I love Frankenthug, to, you know, some of this stuff that I've never heard of, these 70s exploitation and art films. Sorry. But man, what so what's it like being a director and making this stuff, but also being a big time collector? And just a little segue, what's one of your favorite pieces of your collection here? Just because
Ooh.
I can't even look you in the face right now. I just keep going, oh, there's Heat.
What's
Oh,
he got?
there's
What's he got?
Candyman. Okay.
Well, some of my favorite pieces of the Phantasm box set with it comes with the ball,
Oh.
the sphere with the forks. Of course, I've got all the Harness BR's folk horror set, which is pretty awesome and comprehensive, and it's got a lot of films that I would have never even knew about had they not put the stuff out. So I'm a big fan of like the curated boutique labels.
Mm-hmm.
So I collect a lot of their stuff, and I trust them with what they put out. I'm never disappointed, or at least very rarely. What was the first question?
The question is like, how does this translate for you now that you're making the stuff, and like
Yeah.
you're a collector too. Like how does, let me get it out right. How does the collecting influence you, man? Because it has to. Like I know
Yeah.
whenever you start trying to make features and get stuff out there, you're going to be like, oh, the box is very important.
Yeah. uh, it I mean, I wouldn't, if I put something out, I wouldn't be like, this has to have a slip cover and, you know, stuff like that.
I don't
But
believe you one bit. I 100% think that's what you're going to do.
I mean, if it's within reason, put a slip cover on it. Because I do the thing about these boutique label displays is, you know, you're forking over money for a film. You can get it streaming, you know.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff's available. A lot of this Severin and Vinegar Syndrome stuff's available for free on Tubi. You don't even have to pay money to watch this. But if you're buying it, I want all the bells and whistles, you know, because I can get the film for free. Give me something extra. That's the appeal of the slip covers and the booklets and the box sets. You know, that's what I like about it. Plus, you know, the streaming stuff's not guaranteed. You know, it's a revolving door. If there's something you want to watch, it's just a roll of the dice whether it's going to be on streaming or not. Or if it even gets censored, because I've done that with some films, they censor things. You know, I want the uncensored, I want the art as it was meant to be shown. But I do think it's awesome, you know, when I look at, I got this huge collection of like 3,000 fucking movies, and, you know, I've got Frankenthug over here, and I've got Mother Noose, and, you know, Joe Stryker, and I can, you know, find my own work in this pile of, you know, history.
That's oh man, you almost made me want to cry. History. We're the bad part of history you want to cover up. But yeah, man, that movie's in there. That's pretty cool. I've given you a nickname recently. Jon pushes the envelope Devlin. And I think this fits perfectly, man, because you were explaining this, you know, that you don't want the censored, you want the art the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And so you are into unadulterated, unfiltered, uncensored. What about art do you think makes it need to be seen in the grittiest parts? Like, is there any censoring that you would ever accept? I'm saying this and I'm like, I wouldn't accept censoring, so it feels like a dumb question, but tell me a little bit more about that and how you accept some of the sleaze as being beautiful.
Okay, like the sexual stuff?
Not just the sexual, the dirty stuff, like, you know, people shitting in thongs and having it eaten out.
Well, that I wouldn't call that art. That would be pornography. If you're, well, no, you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. I was saying my head went straight to like two girls. My head went straight to Two Girls, One Cup. But you know what you're talking about. There was a narrative. You know,
was there? I don't remember, man. All I remember is it was a loose narrative one day and me vomiting.
It was a loose narrative, and you know, it was a comedy bit. It wasn't real. It wasn't real shit.
Yeah, no.
I'm pretty sure. I've never seen turds like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. Is, you know, as long as you're not breaking any laws, you know, just, you know, let out whatever you got in there, you know, just let it explode on the camera and do your thing, you know, don't be inhibited.
See, I even go further than that, man. The whole guerrilla style of it, like, breaks some laws, dude.
I mean,
you've seen the Bunny Game,
I'm
right?
talking about.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, you've seen Bunny Game, right?
Yeah.
There's like that chick literally just pulls her panties aside and pisses on the street at one point in this, and like, holy shit, that's kind of crazy to watch. It's not something I enjoy watching, but it was like, credit where credit's due. That's like watching Pink Flamingos and having
Divine eat the
Divine.
turd.
Eat the turd. It's like, oh God.
Yeah, but, I mean, you know, nobody got hurt doing that. It was their choice to do it. They were fine with it. Film it, put it on camera. I don't care.
And you live by that. That's why I'm giving you this push the envelope. Like, there's things you've done in movies that you've come up with, and it's hilarious. Like, you don't have any like voice in the back of your head going, maybe I shouldn't do this for the sake of film, but like you're real your method, man. Like you I've seen you get slapped. I've seen you use get stabbed in the balls. I've seen bruises on you after this stuff. Like, there's no faking when you're in this. Like, you know, you hear some people talk about doing the choreography and everything, and they're like, oh, I accidentally got hit. You're the guy that's like, hit me, it'll look better. But so what has wrestling and this physical form, because that's where you really stand out, is you're very physical in your acting. How has
Yeah.
that helped you get into this? Like, tell me a little bit about that, and then also how it influences the stories you want to make.
Um, well, like the wrestling is a performance. It's live athletic theater. So I've technically been an actor for like 15 or so years doing the professional wrestling on the independent scene. But I only played one character. I didn't, a lot of the guys change up their character over the years. I basically just evolved my character, but I was the same guy. But I was always into film. And the older I got more into film and thought about acting more. And then I was approached because Jimmy Bickert needed some stunt guys for Amazon Hotbox. He needed to do a fight scene. He'd never shot a fight scene before. Brian K. Williams was doing the camera work on that one. And he put out something to Nathan to see if, because Nathan was doing commentary for some of the wrestling shows I was working on. And he's like, hey, we need some stunt guys. You up for a fight scene? I was like, yeah, I'll be there. And important part of moving forward in acting is showing up.
Yeah,
like you said before, if you want to do this, like just show up to the thing and be on time or pretty close to it.
Advice to fledgling artists out there: just show up. Trust me.
Yeah,
we'll get a part.
They need people. So if you show up, they'll appreciate it and they'll ask you back. So that's what I did. I showed up, and me and a friend of mine, we choreographed the scene with Jordan Phipps. She kicked her ass, and that was easy to do because we're taking all the bumps. We're getting our asses kicked. She wasn't like a trained stage fighter or a wrestler or anything like that. So, but she had some experience in kickboxing, so she was, athletic enough, and she could, we taught her how to do certain things, and she was able to perform the moves, and we were taking the bumps. So there was no risk of her really getting injured. So that was an easy fight scene to do. Some of the fight scenes I did in other movies, it's like a little different just because, more untrained people, and I'm supposed to be kicking their ass. It makes it a little trickier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's basically how I got my foot in the door in making indie films was that first gig on Amazon Hotbox. And shortly after, I think I did the gig with you. It's Frankenthug.
I'm actually kind of shocked. I didn't realize that's how recently you got into film. So like I've been there since the start. That's pretty awesome, man.
Well, there was like a trivial bit I did before in like Atlanta Zombie Apocalypse. I was just like a zombie on the set. So that was my technically first thing I did.
Gotcha. And go back to the fighting, man. I've done one fight scene in a movie that I acted in. That was me as Bigfoot and Frankenthug. Yeah. And let me tell you the respect I have, dude, because 3 minutes in, and I thought I was going to have a coronary. I mean, I'm wearing, it's Georgia summer, wearing a fursuit, and I'm just like, I'm wrestling with a dude, and I am breathing so hard going, oh my God, I've seen him do shows that are 15, 20-minute long segments, and he just walks out like you would have to get a stretcher to get me out of the ring. But all that being said, I did just do an interview with Fred Vogel. Check it out on this channel, guys. And it was really fun, but something he brought up, and it's something that always reminds me, is that he's a huge wrestling fan, like he always has been. And when I was a kid, I was into wrestling. Then I got into making movies, and then I found out wrestling's all the rage with horror fans. And I still don't get it. I've gotten back into wrestling. It's been a lot of fun. But where do you think that cross section is that horror and wrestling just seems to merge?
I really don't know. And metal's kind of the same way. Like, metal, horror, wrestling, they all kind of overlap as far as people with the same interests. They kind of triangulate there. I'm not sure what it is. I mean, you have certain characters like the Undertaker that kind of resonate with the horror audience, I think. But those are few and far between. I mean, most of the characters aren't dark horror characters, so it's really hard to just pinpoint what it is about it. I guess somebody on the outside might say they're both lowbrow entertainment.
Yeah,
because they people seem to stereotype wrestling fans and horror fans. So that's all I could figure.
That's that buzzword lately, elevated horror. That I get it, because there is elevated horror, but at the same token, it's just like, hey man, don't insult us. Like, we do have taste. Like, I can promise you, a horror fan probably knows more about movies than you've ever dreamed of.
Right.
That's something I really enjoy about our little scene, as much as I hate saying the word, is if you get the super artsy people that are just into films, that watch a lot of Criterion and won't touch horror, they're so snooty and want to talk about these subtleties of shit that doesn't matter. I want to talk about the movie, how it made me feel, if it was fun. Like, I can sit there and eat popcorn, but I can also sit there and, give a review and give this like thesis on, Daybreakers being about oil, stuff like that. And it's something that horror does really well. Like, it's always a social commentary, but it's also fun. It's entertaining. It's for the masses. I think it's why people like us can exist and actually be able to, get fans and get, well, I won't say we get money, but we get fans, that works. New question. Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it is funny. I like the cinema snobs. They're always looking for like some kind of commentary in the films.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching one of the all the Hans BR's Loki's, and the director was talking about his film. He's like, I just had this crazy idea and I wrote the script and I made it. And he got a negative review from one critic because there was no political or social commentary in it. Like, what was the point of this film? And then there was another critic who reviewed it positively and made up a social commentary and said that the werebear in the movie was representing Russia and the oppression of, and all this stuff. He's like, that's not what it was about at all.
Yeah.
So it's just funny, like, the people like that, the intellectual groups are just always looking for something like that, even if it's there or not, they'll find it.
Yeah. And the critics too, man. Like, we went through that with Mother Noose. Like, I love going back and reading reviews on Mother Noose, especially your segments, because like, it is so divisive to where some people are like, this is just filth. Why would anyone watch it? It's just a half-naked man being abused. And other people are like, he's so sympathetic. Oh my God, this movie spoke to me and I cried. And it's like, wow, something's just happening, that John's naked body just imbues in all of us. It just makes us emotional. And, I think the stands that you should probably be naked in all of your movies from now on. So
I guess.
Got that to look forward to.
You pulled my leg.
What has been, and I like putting you on the spot for this one, what has been your favorite project so far that you've done? Film-wise, not wrestling-wise.
Film-wise, that's hard because they're all so different,
Mm-hmm.
Like, every crew I've worked with is very different in how they go about doing things. The social dynamics different, but I've been fortunate enough to be like friends with just about every crew I've worked with. Or if I wasn't friends, I became friends, after. I don't know, man. It's really tough to say.
Look at him. He's running for office already.
I mean, it is really hard. I mean, I'd like to say Mother Noose because I got, to work with Aaron Brown, which was awesome. But at the same time, I was locked in a cage in the freezing cold, and I was wet a few times.
In my defense, that scene was not directed by me.
Yeah, you didn't direct that. It's not your fault. It's not their
wrote
fault
it. Wrote it. Made you go through it, but
But there's ups and downs for Joe Stryker was a lot of fun, but it even had like we were shooting in a hot office and I'm pouring sweat. There's no AC.
Yeah.
But I mean that just comes with the territory when you're working on stuff like this. But they've all been fun and unique in their own ways, So it's really hard just to pick a favorite out of all those.
I get it. I get it. What then? Let's make it a little bit easier for you. Which would you rather do, the hot set or the cold set? I honestly, I know my answer to that, man, but you've gone through the ringer on both.
Yeah, I think I prefer the cold set. In my situation, I wasn't able to warm up because
you were naked the whole time.
I was like basically naked. I had the body paint on, so if like when they say cut, if I covered up, all that stuff would probably start to shed, and then I'd have to reapply it, which means getting wet paint on my cold body. So I was trying not to do that if I didn't have to. And the only time I could find warmth is inside the very uncomfortable cramped cage when they put a blanket over the top, because it would trap all the heat in. So it was either I could be on my knees with my, my skin digging into the grill of the cage and getting cramped You know, I started to realize how old I was every time I got out of that cage, because literally everything hurt when I went to stand up. Uh,
I've got
it-
this vision now, man. I never thought about it because I'm like, oh my God, he's in this movie and he's not allowed to speak.
yeah,
And I just see him in between takes. He just slowly crawls back into the cage, and everyone's like, John, come out, man. What are you doing? He's like,
yeah, it's cold.
Oh my God, that's hilarious and sad. Oh man. So we've got a couple of projects. So you're always, I say this with so much love, man, but you're just like James Brown. You're the hardest working man in indie showbiz, at least. I know me and you actually got a couple projects we're working on. You're welcome to talk about yours if you want to, the one that I'm helping you with.
Okay.
Well, don't talk about mine yet. But what's going on with
we
you?
want to talk about that one first? Or, I mean, do you want to talk about that one at all?
Nah, not yet. Not yet. Oh Lord, hold on. I'm dropping stuff, man. I'm dropping stuff. But what's there we go. Nope. Anyway, what's going on in your world? What's kind of next? What's brewing? What's coming out?
It's kind of tricky with these things that aren't coming out yet because you don't know how much you're allowed to say about them.
Exactly. But you're a director now. You have stuff you're going to do.
Yeah, I got stuff lined up, but it's not in the wheels aren't turning yet. But there is, you know, the short that me and you are talking about doing, which is going to get kind of weird. It's sleazy.
Yeah, it is.
I don't want to become the sleazy filmmaker guy.
No, but, that exists. Sleazebox is already out there, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I have such an eclectic taste that I don't want to just like pigeonhole myself into one type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but this was a good idea you had. So I'm anxious to film this, however it turns out.
I gotta come up with a damn pseudonym for this one, man, because I'm just writing porn and taking the porn part out. That's what I feel like I'm doing.
See, I would totally put the porn part back in, but it's only 5 minutes, so maybe if it was a 2-hour movie, we could put one scene.
5 minutes. Well, I mean, that's 3 more minutes than I need, so you know.
But yeah, I do have a couple features that are like pending coming out, and one of them is like a sequel to another movie, sort of. I can't really say too much about that, but it's going to be fun. I got to play a ton of parts because they're all under a mask and there's a lot of fighting. So, you know, I was helping out with stunts and fight choreography on that. There's also another film I worked with Wages of Sin on over in Augusta. It's done filming. I'm just not sure how far they are with the editing process and like if they have a time frame for release or whatever. But it was great working with those guys. Another situation where it's hot as fuck.
Yeah.
It was like 100 degrees in that office and we're supposed to be professionals and we're all just pouring sweat. But hopefully it worked. It doesn't look like we're dying on camera.
That was one of those, I showed up to that set and ended up in like a role in it. So yeah, guys, show up to sets, man. I'm telling you. So yeah, that one I'm looking forward to. I'm curious. I'll hit you up after and ask you more questions about that one.
There was another feature I was scheduled to work on in July, which another one I can't really talk about, but it had been postponed due to some sicknesses. You know, we're still kind of dealing with that shit. So that's been postponed till whenever. I don't even know when they're going to pick back up on that. But there is one more feature I'm planning on film, 2 features that are coming out later. And of course, I got a short in the works and a music video I filmed with Martyr Films and a band called SMRT, the black metal band. One of which, or actually 2 of people in the video, I was in a band with when I was doing vocals for the death metal project in Douglas, Georgia. Wow, long time ago. But I worked with them on their music video. It was pretty fun, satanic, in a dingy old abandoned building. It was like an old orphanage or schoolhouse or whatever. It's pretty badass.
Yeah.
So that's going to come out soon. I've been working with Martyr Films for a while. Done 2 shorts with them, and this is the second music video I've done with them. It's been pretty fun working with those guys. They're gritty swamp creatures. They got their own ways.
That's the fun part, man. What advice would you give to budding filmmakers? Because you know as well as I do, this show isn't huge. It's a little bit different than most interview shows. It's a lot of people that want to get into the indie filmmaking. You know, you're actually dealing with real fans here.
Yeah.
What advice would you give people wanting to start making films?
Just like from the director standpoint, I would say, like, I mean, if you got a camera or a means to get footage, you can even use your phone. Like the first short I filmed was on my phone for the Roger Corman pandemic project. And just start small. I did like a 2-minute short, and I taught myself the editing software. You can go on YouTube and get all these tutorials. You can figure anything out on online for free. You can find free editing software. I was using HitFilm Express. It was a free software. I've upgraded to Premiere Pro since I did Directing a Monster, and started paying for it. But it just got more options and stuff. But where there's a will, there's a way. Just right within your means, and don't so much focus on the obstacles and try to find the path. Because if you really want to do it, there's a way.
That's good advice. I like that. Within your means, man. That may sound simple, but that is exactly it.
Yeah.
Got to do what you can. Man, one last thing to do before we start giving out links and everything, which I'll definitely post below as well. But can we see the monster?
Oh, you know it's right behind me, don't you?
Yeah, I do. we gotta show this, man. Then you gotta tell them where they can find you and everything. Look at this. This is what you're going to get with Jon Devlin, people.
Yeah, this is from my award-winning short, Erecting a Monster. Won this at FrankenCon a couple months ago. Has it been a couple months? But yeah, this was created by my friend C.R. Ray, who was a great effects person on the short. And yeah, that's the monster dick, and that's actually a better shot than you're going to see in the film. So it's kind of a spoiler of what's going to happen in the film, but it's a bonus for watching this episode of Director on Director.
Beautiful. Where can everyone find you, man?
You can find me on Facebook under Jon Devlin Actor. You can find me on Instagram under Devlin Valek, DVLIN _VALEK. I also have a photography page, Stillborn Photography. That's on both Facebook and Instagram. So yeah, and I'm also Devlin's Domain on YouTube. So I got I used to do video reviews, and I haven't been doing so many of those lately because I've been doing other shit. But a lot of my shorts, like Erecting a Monster, might end up on there. The trailer for it is on my YouTube channel. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Beautiful, man. Thanks so much for joining us here, Jon. I've been looking forward to doing this with you because it's nice to see you grow, and you're there now. You're there. And thank you everyone for watching this episode of Director on Director. Again, check out the links below. Make sure to catch Erecting Monster, hopefully at a convention near you soon. And we'll see you next time.